Welcome, welcome. All right, is this everybody? Have you let everybody in, Katie?
I think so. I don't see anyone waiting in the waiting room, but oh, someone else. They might be coming in a little bit later, but for now, I think everyone is here.
All right, well, we'll get the show on the road. Hello, everybody. Welcome, UCF students, faculty, staff. Welcome, UCF artists, and welcome artists, family, and friends. My name is Dr. Karen Hoffman. I am a licensed psychologist, and I am Director of Counseling and Psychological Services, or as we call it, CAPS for short. We are so glad you could join us for the 8th Annual Healing Art Exhibition reception. This year's theme is appropriately called Emerging from Isolation to Empowerment. I would like to kick off our Healing Art Exhibition with a short video showcasing the incredible artistic work that was submitted by our fabulous artists and is currently hanging in our UCF CAPS Center hallway. So here's our video. Thank you, Hannah Estes from School of Visual Arts and Design for creating that beautiful video. We are so excited to have Dr. Cartwright here to give opening remarks. Thank you so much, Dr. Cartwright, for supporting our event and our UCF artists. We are so grateful that you're here, and I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Karen. It is truly great to be here. It's always a pleasure to be able to open any activity like this, and certainly an exhibition of the work of our students, alumni, faculty, staff is really terrific. When I viewed the virtual exhibit for emerging from isolation to empowerment, I have to admit that, I was deeply affected in multiple ways. One is to see the emotion that you can actually see in the work and the pain and suffering that's in some, but also the amazing hope that shines through at the same time in some of it is truly, to me, just a reflection of how tremendously talented all the people are that are doing this. Your emotions certainly do show through that, whether it was through paint or photography or ink drawings or digital illustrations or the mixed media. I think I speak for a lot of people that, we're always moved by the expression of those feelings and emotions. And it is what certainly art and many other things do for us, music and any type of art form. And I do find it remarkable to see how people can capture their journey, potentially from sadness or loss to other feelings of hope and optimism. And so it is inspiring to see that. And I just want to congratulate all of the artists who participated for the talent, for the skills. that show up in the work, and for the courage to actually put this on display, and certainly to allow others to experience it. I also want to compliment everybody involved for their willingness to collaborate. The fact that this is a collaboration between Counseling Psychological Services and also the School of Visual Arts and Design, it really is the kind of cross-discipline cooperation that we want to encourage, and that it shows where innovation and creativity can come together and defy the traditional boundaries that we usually put up for different disciplines in higher education. So breaking down those barriers between fields is important, and I compliment all of you for that, and how you were able to actually think about how you integrate great research and creative efforts into collaboration that resulted in something that could benefit so many people. We know that there is a strong connection. Data, in fact, already exists that shows that there's a strong connection between music, dance, drawing, photography, painting, and how it can actually impact the lives of people and their health. Whether it allows them to relieve pain that they may be suffering, or address some anxiety or depression. These are all things that are empowered by the ability to actually do something creative. Of course, people like me who don't have all the amazing artistic ability that the people involved in this have, we're always just so impressed with what you're able to express, but we also understand that it has much more impact than just looking at it, and it also has impact for the artists that are involved. So thank you for pursuing research and thinking about how you can bring the arts and wellness together and to shed light on this important area, because I think it is an area for the future, something that is going to help us all. And I look forward to you continuing to figure out how we may best use this type of collaboration. And I love the fact that it is really about enhancing health, healing, and well-being for our community. It will make a difference. You are already making a difference. Just my ability to see what I saw already made a difference in my life. So I thank you all for being so open with your emotions and allowing others to experience it through your work. And I want to congratulate you, the artists, certainly, for the work that was selected for this exhibition. And I want to thank all the faculty and staff who made it possible. You certainly do represent the best of what UCF does, and I certainly appreciate being part of this. So thank you again, and go Knights.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cartwright. The UCF Healing Art Exhibition was designed to create campus awareness of our UCF CAPS mental health resources, to reduce the stigma of accessing our mental health services, to create a space of creativity and expression and healing, and increase inclusivity across campus. And this year, special thanks to Leanne Schumann. Please wave so our audience can see who you are. Katie Bradbury, who are our CAPS clinicians and co-leaders and spearheading this important event in collaboration with Hannah Estes. Where's Hannah? From the School of Visual Arts and Design. And they will be your MCs for tonight. So now I will hand it over to Katie Bradbury. And thank you, Katie. It's all yours.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Cartwright. I know you have to leave, but thanks for being here. Okay, so I will share the screen a little bit so people can follow along. Can everybody see? Okay. So as Karen kind of talked a little bit about, we do partner with the UCF School of Visual Arts and Design, and with the support of Flax, which is our Orlando community partner. And I wanted to just make a note that this image that you're also seeing, that is the winner from last year's event by Eli Dreyfus, who is here today as well because he did submit again this year. So we usually use the winner from the previous year as the flyer artwork for the current year that we have to promote the event. So thank you for our partners and supporting us to be able to continue doing this for the UCF community. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the mission and the history of Healing Art, our Healing Art program. I know Karen talked a little bit more about that, but just kind of expanding on that. So this was actually founded as an outreach event, an annual event in 2013 by one of our former CAPS clinicians, Meredith Malkin, who isn't able to be here today, but it was developed as an innovative initiative to combine outreach services and alternative brief therapeutic contacts outside of the traditional therapy that we provide, and enhance the powerful connection between art and wellness. It involves collaboration with the School of Visual Arts and Design, and CAPS invites students, faculty, staff, any UCF alumni to create art and self-expression in 2D form. Since it's been an event of ours that we have, the artwork collected has always been in 2D, so painting, mixed media, drawing, and so forth. But I'm been trying to kind of expand it to 3D. So hopefully maybe next year or the year after, we can start to incorporate like sculptures and pottery. So that would be really cool. And a personal, I guess, goal of mine is to also start to include like tattoo body art as well, because personally that is a meaningful spot for myself. So but we try to kind of continue to involve it or evolve the event itself. And themes each year are typically aligned with the themes of what we've been experiencing in the community, in the world, in the previous year. So for example, last year's theme was expressions of social justice, which was aligned with a lot of the trauma that society was experiencing at the time related to hate crime, social injustice, and so forth. So this year's theme was influenced by the global impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So hence emerging from isolation to empowerment, because we've all had to kind of come from this very isolated space in our own world as a result of the pandemic, and we've all had to emerge from that. And that can be a very empowering feeling, however we've emerged. And so Leanne and I felt that that would be a good theme for this year. So that's kind of just a little bit of the mission and history behind the Healing Art program. So wanting to now move forward and introduce Rudy Mcdaniel from SVAD, who will talk a little bit more, and then introduce one of the professors to present a little bit on his presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much, Katie, for that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rudy Mcdaniel, and I direct UCF School of Visual Arts and Design, which we call SVAD. We're a proud partner in this event, and we're all looking forward to a wonderful evening of art. And I see faculty members and graduate students and undergraduates all here tonight. So I really appreciate you being here and participating. Also, our Dean, Jeff Moore, is here. Thank you, Dean Moore, for being here. On behalf of SVAD, I'd like to say thank you to all the artists who contributed work to this event. I've been lucky enough to attend the Healing Arts Exhibition for the last 4 years, and I know it's not easy to put your art out there for the world to see. This is true for all art, but particularly so when your art engages complex and important themes, as the healing arts often do. It's great to see so many brave artists willing to participate and to be able to hear about your work and your process in making this art. You know, a lot of times we don't have the benefit of hearing directly from the artists and hearing about what they went through and what their inspirations were. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy about this Healing Arts exhibition. To me, this event is a reminder that not all art needs to be light and accessible. Art can make us feel good, and often does, but it can also challenge us to step outside our comfort zones and to build empathy. Also, it reminds me that art can be healing not only in its creation for the artist, but also for an audience. This happens when others see or experience this art who have gone through similar challenges in their own lives. I'd like to briefly thank the many organizers and contributors who worked so hard to make this event a reality. In particular, Katie and Leanne from CAPS and Hannah and Allison from SVAD all put a lot of time and energy into this event. I know this year, especially with the pandemic and all of the stress that students and faculty and staff have experienced, it makes it an extraordinary time to be doing an event like this that just has so much overhead. So I know we're all really grateful for the time and investment you all put into organizing this. I'm also thankful for President Cartwright, our College of Arts and Humanities Dean Jeff Moore, and our UCF administration and supporters who allow us to do this type of work, who've created an environment that's so open to interdisciplinary collaboration and artistic expression. It's really a wonderful place to work because of that. I'll close by introducing you to a special guest speaker this evening. Professor Kevin Herron is our Jenkins Distinguished Professor of Community Arts. He's a respected professor of drawing, an active community organizer, and an amazing artist in his own right. Kevin is going to speak to you about one of his collaborative healing arts projects for veterans that started in 2019 and is still going strong. Kevin, thank you for being here tonight, and please take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Mcdaniel. Let me share my screen here. All right, so everybody should be able to see this. I know tonight is about the student work, but let me just take a few minutes to talk about the veterans program I've been running. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the Lake Baldwin VA Art Clinic. This program started in August 2019, as Rudy said, when the VA expressed a need for art classes, specifically in drawing. The purpose of the classes is to provide hands-on studio art lessons for the recreation, leisure, and education, and enhance the well-being of veterans. My partner there is Mike Weaver, a therapist who supervises the meetings and identifies veterans who may have interest in the program. Since the classes are now taught remotely, Mike assists the veterans with hands-on projects while I'm online at UCF. Two of my colleagues at the School of Visual Arts and Design initiated a dialogue with the VA and passed the project on to me when I began my role as the Jenkins Professor in Community Arts. On a personal note, my parents, two brothers, and a number of other family members are veterans, and this history converged with the chance to help out the veterans in our community. The first series of classes were held in person at Lake Baldwin. The participants would travel to the VA and take part in the lessons. This photo is at an open house where we displayed some of the veteran art and also demonstrated some printmaking. These are just a few examples of the results of weekly face-to-face classes from fall 2019. Most of these veterans are beginners. Some did some art, perhaps in junior or high school, and are now maybe coming back to it. The classes introduce basic art techniques and processes. On the left, this is a monoprint created by painting with water-based ink on a sheet of plexiglass. While the ink is wet, a piece of paper is placed on top and the ink is transferred to the paper. On the right, the veteran is painting a watercolor while observing an aloe plant. These are some examples of prints where, as you can see, the design element of pattern is emphasized on the left, and the other is a monoprint showing a landscape. This is a foam print done by a veteran by rolling images with color. He decided to make 4 different impressions, which was kind of new and surprising for him. And a project like this requires Mike to be on site with the materials, rolling up the plates, even cleaning up the studio, basically running the place without me being present. We did a collage project of portrait heads using the art of Ramir Bearden for inspiration. They really enjoyed the process of sorting through various magazines and finding imagery to arrange them in unexpected compositions. And here's a couple more examples. I teach drawing and painting mainly by observation of natural things like plants, flowers, and shells. The act of allowing yourself to slow down and carefully study, for example, a leaf, and transferring this to the page using marks and lines can be very rewarding. On the right, a group is creating assemblage boxes based on the work of Joseph Cornell. And this is one of the resulting boxes where one veteran got so excited, she went and spent hours on this at home, and it ended up being dedicated to her mother. Again, these are just blank boxes that you can find at Michael's and then, do what you want with them. And she was very eager to share this with the group. She said she thought all week about wanting to bring it in. Just another example of a book with a kind of a decorative paper cover that was made. Another veteran was from New England and wanted to share his background in boating. He again found some personal items, some shells and whatnot to create this mixed media piece. So as we all did, we abruptly shifted to Zoom in 2020. And it was truly a challenge to teach these studio classes remotely, but I was prepared because I taught at UCF one summer before that. This is the group last week. We meet Wednesdays in the afternoon, and at this class, they were learning 2-point perspective. This is my desk at school, where I convert it into a mini studio where the veterans can remotely tune in and view demonstrations. So my laptop is just outside the frame, as is my iPhone with my camera pointed down. This is a veteran's desk at the VA following along doing the lesson, and their laptop is just out of the frame where they're observing me. This was a 2-point perspective drawing that a veteran did on their own after a class and went ahead and did this kind of subterranean part, which I thought was quite inventive. It was also included during some media coverage for Veterans Day in 2020. Another 2-point drawing. As we do with our UCF students, I do teach a lot of contour drawing, which is the starting point. Again, looking at fruit and various natural objects. Another observed houseplant. A watercolor lesson, just trying to find the basic shape of the object and try to simulate the local colors. Some additional monoprints where, again, this was quite new for them and getting them to use the whole page as part of the design. Again, my studio, this is what they're seeing with me kind of at work, leading the lesson from UCF. Watercolor lesson, this is my table once again, just showing them kind of how to go about painting an apple. And I thank you so much again for just sharing briefly what I'm doing with the veterans. And the classes are ongoing. We're scheduled through the spring. And eventually I hope to work with them face to face again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin, for showing us the work that you do at the VA Center. I think that's definitely a population that benefits from a lot of healing and creative therapy, if you will. So thank you so much for sharing that. I had no idea that that was even a thing. So it's very nice to know that you're able to offer that to the veterans. So now I would like to give the floor to Leanne, my co-coordinator, to start to introduce a little bit more the artists, and we have a little Q&A discussion panel for them to answer. So let me share the PowerPoint. So Leanne, if you would like to introduce this.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you for coming. I'm so glad that you're here. Some of the extraordinary artists that, you've seen their art tonight, they shared that they'd be open to talking about their art. And I really want to thank them and ask if they'd like to share at this time some of their thoughts or address any questions from the audience. The artists that responded to us that said that they'd be open to talk to us were Jenna Reed, Virginia Hagbloom, Emilia Hernandez, Anthony Darby, Tim Reed, Brittany Fuchek, Alexis Collum, and Eli Dreyfus. So I'm just going to kind of open up to everybody out there and see if they might want to talk a little bit about their art. I also want to remind you that you can look at the gallery of their art. The link is in the chat box, and you can kind of get a feel for what they might be sharing with you. So I'll turn it over to some of our artists if they want to kind of step forward.
I can talk, I guess, since no one else is stepping up. I guess, first off, I chose to participate in this exhibit. Wait, can you guys hear me? Okay,
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. I chose to participate because I felt like what I'd gone through was worth sharing with others. And I think there needs to be a greater awareness of what eating disorders are and what it's like to have one. And it's so common, but not really talked about. My process as an artist differentiates often, but it always starts with something that I'm passionate about. And it's either like my deep frustration with environmental concerns or my mental health. So it's just me wanting to put a message out there. For the two photographs that I did with the acrylic medium on top, they were in particularly like very personal to me. I went through anorexia at the age of 10 and then relapsed in 2019 and was bulimic. People don't realize how taxing the recovery process is either, and the guilt that comes with it. So the first piece is more the physical hell that I put myself through, and the second piece is more the mental hell. The digital piece I submitted was a collage that I created that felt like I was kind of piecing parts of myself back together using journal notes and sketches. So from isolation to empowerment, that title spoke to me because eating disorders really are very isolating. You don't want to lie to your loved ones, but you also don't want help either. So you just end up not talking about it. And to go from that to being fully recovered felt really empowering to me. So that's what my work was about.
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you so much. Are there any other of the artists that would like to speak a little bit about their work, or does anybody have a question for our artists that you might want to put into the chat box?
I'll be willing to talk.
Thank you, Tim.
So I chose to participate in this exhibition because I have experienced the healing aspects of art in my own life and was excited to be a part of an exhibition that continues that tradition. And specifically for me is to express my experience with death and grief. So my process of making art has always come as a result of intentional self-reflection. But that often comes with a risk that it can seem self-indulgent as well. But when my wife died of cancer in 2019, processing my grief became an integral part and symbiotic part of my creative practice. And what I discovered is that doing the work to navigate my grief inspires and directs my artwork. And then working on my artwork helps me to better understand my grief journey. And since the subject of grief is so universal, I've found that I am able to make a deeper connection with my audience, even though I'm coming from my own personal perspective and my own personal experience with grief. What I've discovered is that other people are able to connect with the work because it's such a grand and universal concept. The artwork that I submitted to the exhibition is part of a series. I called the series "I Thought I Knew Everything," and the piece I submitted is handmade cotton paper with screen print text. And when I was working on finishing my master's degree here at UCF, I had started the program with my wife. And when she got sick and then died, I was committed to completing it. And I was trying to figure out how to now navigate this realm that I had been doing with a partner, sort of. I mean, she made her own work and I made my own work, but we, were there supporting each other. And what I decided to do is use things that she left behind as materials. And so the paper is actually made from her old bath towels because she had been doing that in her work. And so I too made this paper, and then the text that is on it is again part of a series of texts that I wrote that were reflections on things that I learned from her when she was alive, things that I learned from her as she battled pancreatic cancer, and then things that I learned after she died and had to discover all of these new ways of living without this partner that I had expected to be around for a long time. And so for me, like the theme of emerging from isolation to empowerment is very personally relevant, because the grief journey is often very isolating and very lonely, because it is unique to everybody. Even the same, even people who experience the exact same loss that I did, her friends and other family members are going through a different journey than I am. But my creative practice has become an integral and key part of me learning how to ride these emotional waves and how to move through those, like that initial despair of the loss, and then move into a place where the journey is now about healing, and about, facing the new reality.
Thank you, Tim. I know people can really appreciate that you've taken such a private experience of grief and made it understandable and universal for so many other people. So we thank you for that. Are there any other artists that wanted to share a little bit about their work?
I'll go. I just got a quick question here from somebody. So she asked, what is your reasoning or idea behind the subjects of your art, or how do you feel that you relate to them? So that's a pretty interesting question. Generally, whenever I photograph, and this kind of dives a little bit into my process when I create work, is to kind of highlight the everyday individual, because I want to make people stop and appreciate the beauty that surrounds them, with those people that that they engage with every single day, or don't even engage with. Generally, when we're walking down the street, we're looking at our phones, and we don't realize there's 8 billion other people surrounding us that are incredibly beautiful in their own way, and are all going through their own journey. So it's kind of my way of stopping time and, shining a spotlight on those that deserve it. And again, for me, that's every single person. Every single person deserves to feel heard, seen, and understood, valued for what they do. And that's one of the reasons I picked up the camera in the first place, is to showcase that to the world. And, one of the main things that I stand by is connection. That's something that I strive for, in real life. But it's something I constantly find myself struggling with, that connection part. So photography for me is that vessel, that way of communicating to the world and communicating with the subject in front of my lens in a very intimate and meaningful way that, again, generally I don't have, in real life at the moment. So, again, that camera is there to help bridge that gap, bridge that connection gap. So with the work that I submitted tonight, obviously throughout COVID, we've been going through, ups and downs and darkness and light. And I kind of wanted to blend all those together. So in the two photographs that I submitted tonight, one is called Freedom and one is called Rooted. Let's see. I think it was called Rooted Acceptance. And again, the stories, I guess, behind both of them were to be, that, again, we all went through this darkness, and, COVID really makes you think about your connection and kind of where you stand in this world. So it all starts in that rooted acceptance. If you have your strong belief systems and you have, you kind of have that foundation, when it's a strong foundation, it's rooted, in that place. And then you're able to branch out and impact also those around you. And that's something I firmly believe in. You got to know yourself before getting to know others. So once you're rooted deeply within yourself, you can therefore, go out and be the light to other people. And then the other one is freedom. It kind of alludes to the fact that when we are struggling with our mental health and we're going through things, it's quite limiting. It limits us. So I wanted to break through, break free of that and kind of depict what freedom means. At least for me, it means breaking through of any barriers, limitations that not only that I put on myself, but also those around me. So it's breaking through that and, coming out in a brighter light. So that's kind of the basis behind all that work. It's really an honor to be here yet again this year. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Eli. I was really thinking about what Dr. Cartwright said about kind of the crossover between art and healing. And it was really thoughtful when you said communication in an intimate and meaningful way. And I know that's what happens in the counseling rooms every day. And then your art is just really helping to manifest that too. So it's so appreciated. Thank you for speaking, Eli.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to share about their art? You don't have to be shy.
Hey there, I'm Jim Weislamerski. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone who put this together to make this happen. It's awesome. I submitted my paintings to express hope. The paintings are about grief, acceptance, and the courage to move forward. Two of the paintings, one of my mother and one of my father, I painted them in their garage in the summer of 2020. They both passed away in 2021, and I thought that this was a great opportunity to celebrate their lives and to show like humility and growth in myself as a person to, confront this grief and to, like I said, move forward. I submitted a third painting of myself. I am an alcoholic in recovery. And I painted that painting to keep myself accountable. You know, everybody, you know, has different types of hard times they have to go through, and they're equally hard, you know. But, you know, I have a disease centered in the mind called alcoholism, and I have to be very mindful of that. And I'm very grateful that I was able to share those with everybody.
Jim, I have to share with you that your paintings are so vibrant and beautiful. And it amazes me the vibrancy when you're talking about such, you know, painful things like grief and pain and even the alcoholism. So we're so grateful that those bright, beautiful pieces are on our hallways. And I thank you for them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else at all?
Hi, Leanne. I'll share.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi. Thank you again for having me and allowing us to speak on behalf of our work and what this exhibition means for everybody. My work that is shown is an etching, but I work in multiple disciplines. My work is specifically about death and about the acknowledgement of death and how we can use that acknowledgement to appreciate life itself, and how the finality of it is what's important and what creates that sense of urgency for us. At first I focused on a subject of mushrooms with my work, and then moved over to animals and how they're a stand-in for people, specifically roadkill. And I use these animals as that stand-in because of how they're discarded and how they're casted away, and how they can be, how care could be used for, I'm so sorry, I choked up. Essentially, I pick up roadkill, and I photograph these animals, and I use their discarded bodies. And after I put them, I'm so sorry. I will have to stop for this one.
Brittany, the picture that what you did submit has such beautiful, fine detail. Is that something that is part of your expression?
Yes, the detail is meant to be imagery of how I view these animals. I view them with reverence. I view them with care, and essentially the care is supposed to be beyond the necessary for these animals, and for people too. And I began these pickups of these roadkill because of the isolation of the pandemic, and because there wasn't anything else that could be done during the pandemic in big groups of people, and gatherings where I'm sorry, I'll have to stop.
I know that just looking at your art here, when you say kind of there's a reverence for animals and the care that should be, I think, extended to all, animals, beings, just that whole idea of looking out and caring, not discarding. So I appreciate those themes that you bring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to share anything about their art?
I can go next.
Hi, Alexis.
Hello, thank you guys for having me. This is so awesome to be a part of. So I always had wanted to submit to the Healing Arts Exhibition. I always saw it in the SVAD hallways. And I definitely, I finally submitted right before graduating. It was like on my to-do list to do. So super happy to be here and honored to be one of the accepted artists. And this exhibition really speaks to me because I think art is healing for people, and it can be healing for our world as well. And I think it's really needed in our world to do so. I consider myself an artivist, so an artist and an activist, someone who uses their creative mediums to speak up against oppression and raise awareness about various things going on in our community. My biggest areas where I'm passionate about are animal rights, the environment, and human rights. So kind of all of them, but all of my art usually has some sort of meaning or purpose in it. And so for this particular painting, it was very personal, and it speaks to the power of the individual in the healing process of both ourselves and the world, because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming or discouraging to see what's happening in our world. And also it can feel like you don't know how to help yourself sometimes. And so I really think that tuning in with yourself and going into nature and really trying to tap back into the here, the now, what's really, here in front of us and helping support us in our life on this planet can be really healing in that way. So that's really what my piece is about. It's a painting, an acrylic painting on canvas board. And I started it during the summer of the pandemic in COVID-19, in 2020, I mean. And during that semester, I had just officially switched my major from a biology major to a studio art major. And for me, that was super nerve-wracking. It was something I always felt like I wanted to do, but, kind of going from the one career path that I'd been working on for a couple of years into a totally different one that didn't necessarily have the set track and path for me moving forward, was really nervous. And I wasn't with my friends and family as much because of the pandemic. So I was really isolated in that way, and really felt connected to this exhibition, especially because of that. But as I started it that summer, and then I didn't touch it for a year. It was just very loose marks and beginning sketchings. I didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. It was just one day that I was like, okay, I need to create. I need to just get something out. And then I left it. I just let it sitting there for over a year. And after I'd been in more of the art classes and had time to find myself a bit more, thanks to the pandemic of giving that kind of space and time, the painting kind of just unfolded on itself. And I found myself just creating, not really thinking about it, not overthinking my decisions or what I was making as an artist, if it was good enough and things like that. And then I found something really beautiful just kind of unfolded. And so I think, finding the importance in taking the time for yourself and taking time in nature and appreciating it, it all circles back around and can be a truly healing process for yourself. And then, like I said, for our planet as well. So that's about my piece.
Alexis, I noticed in your painting too that there's such serenity in the figure, but then I didn't know if it was purposeful that there's kind of that infinity sign kind of going on there. Did you want to speak about that at all?
Yes, I did. That was part of just that initial, I just was making marks, and it was just this human form that was all kind of interconnected. And I really think that also subconsciously I was tapping into kind of, the ancient wisdoms that we do have in the earth. There are a lot of things that our ancestors have learned and that are innately inside of us, but we may have lost touch with that because of all of the distractions going on and not tuning into nature, not really seeing it as important or valuing what it does for us. On like the physical of providing what we need, food, shelter, water, but also in the inside, that feeling of peace and serenity that is there if you just go out into, a forest and just sit and just appreciate it. So it's one of my favorite pastimes is just sitting in nature. It channeled into this piece.
A good lesson for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else that would like to kind of join in?
Yeah, me if possible.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. This is Elahe. I'm a first year student of MFA program, and I'm originally from Iran, and what I have submitted to the healing exhibition is 2 pieces of illumination that I have learned tazhib, that its translation in English is illumination, in my home country, Iran. And the reason that I have submitted these artworks in this exhibition is that when I start making illumination and doing illumination, I need to focus a lot and take a long time to do such works. And it makes me have a kind of meditation in these works. And during the time that I'm doing this illumination, these works, I really understand kind of meditation in this time. So I believe that doing such art will help all the artists to have a kind of psychological healing. And because I always feel such a feeling, and so although during MFA program I start a new kind of artworks inspiring by illumination, but I decided to just submit my traditional art to your exhibition. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I found myself in the hallway sort of mesmerized because of the kaleidoscope kind of feel of, and we know light coming through a kaleidoscope. So it's just so beautiful. And the bird feels so freeing. One feels very specific and one feels very freeing. So really appreciate you submitting it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
We'll probably continue till about 6:30 or 6:35. Is there anyone else that would like to share about their art?
I could go. Could you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, so I'm Amelia. I made a video game and it's about trauma, and I really like video games because the person playing it has an interactive role in the art, and you have to really think about your choices. And I guess like some would say the art is something that you are more involved in. And I really like the idea of an art gallery that is supposed to uplift people, and it's also made by the community. And I don't know if this is the first time, but I saw that Healing Arts was accepting digital media submissions, which is something that I work in the most. And that was something I was pretty excited about. And when I saw the theme, I immediately thought about something that I had made just like a couple months before. That seemed to be like a pretty good fit. Yeah, I generally speaking, I use art a lot to express how I feel to people. I always like to do like handmade things or make something about them because I feel like speaking isn't one of my strengths. So it always makes sense for me to try to let someone know how I feel through art. And around the time I made this game, I was having a lot of depressing thoughts about someone from my past. And I sort of made this game to say all the things that I was being quiet about. But at the end, I also wanted to send a message to my friends that were there for me in overcoming those feelings, and that I'm appreciative of their friendship and how their actions have really helped me get through those things. And overall, like creating the game was for like therapeutic purposes for me. But I also just wanted to like promote a message that you're able to get better through speaking with others about what you're going through. And yeah, I guess that's it. I would just encourage people to play it, but if assault is like a sensitive topic, I would advise against it.
Earlier, when Katie was talking about moving the program to the cutting edge of 3D and all kinds of different things, I thought it was extraordinary that we had a video game entered this year. So Amelia, it's like you're cutting edge. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this year is definitely the first year that at least that I'm aware of, where we wanted to accept more 2D forms of art. And so we really appreciate you being willing to submit a video game, which I think is pretty cool. So thanks for doing that.
And Katie, how are we doing on time? How would you like to go forward?
I think we can allow for more artists to speak, or if anyone has any more questions for any artists, until 6:40. And then I think the last 20 minutes should be enough for finding out all the winners.
Sure. Sounds great. Anybody else kind of wanting to come forward?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can talk about my work.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Aisha. I actually graduated last semester and submitted into this exhibition, I guess. And for my work, they were first self-portraits last year, and through COVID, starting from 2020, it was rough, I think, for everyone, just because quarantine, we're not used to staying at home to ourselves all the time. And so during that time, I would always reflect on myself and ask if what I'm doing is right, and if the path I'm going to pursue is correct for myself. And so I put that into my artwork. And last semester, I took advanced printmaking with Cooper, and we were learning how to etch on copper plates. And it was my first time learning. And so I wanted to put in my designs that I did on my sketches into prints, and that was the idea. And from there on, I've learned different techniques like Shinkolay and aqua tint, and playing around with the materials with the prints, and I basically had more fun doing it. I did 3 different designs. The first one, I believe it was myself holding my head as a balloon, and I did like a heart-shaped full of colors around. And that idea was just, I was in a dark place, and as much as I wanted to be happy in such a dark place, it's hard to put that smile on your face. So you just have to follow your heart in a weird way to keep yourself up like that. The other 2 designs were myself trying to open my eyes and all eyes on me. I always felt I was always being watched, whether it's for the good or bad, in isolation. And I put that into one of my prints. And I believe the third one was pulling myself out of a hole. Again, really dark place, and just pulling myself out. It's honestly, through everything, making these prints, making art, just helped me a lot bring myself out from the dark side and try to look into the bright side of things. Even if everything around me is not going great, I still have to find the positive. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. I remember when Katie and I were putting up the art, and I think the word that came to us was provocative, and how it would really encourage people to take some time to really look at the art and what you were expressing about, what your experiences were. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any last ones? Anyone else?
I can go. Hi guys, my name is Hannah, and
Hannah.
I am I think I'm in my third year. This depends on my credits for biomedical sciences. So I really wanted to do art as a minor, but I didn't really have time for it. So since I graduated high school right when the pandemic hit in 2020, I haven't really had any creative outlets actually put my art into the way you did in high school with AP art and stuff. So when I saw this, I was like, oh cool, finally something to get my art put into, because I just wanted to get more involved with art. So I had 3 pieces I think put in, and I think my inspiration for my artwork is not only my feelings, but I really like the surrealism artworks, and I just wanted to reflect my emotions, especially with graduating high school in such a weird time, not really being able to see anyone for a year and a half because I'm immunocompromised too. It was just a weird time in life, and a lot of my artworks, I think one of the ones I had submitted, I had started in high school, but I never really finished it until I think someone else had something like this going on too. That someone said something. I didn't really finish it until a year after I started it. Not even because I was trying so hard on it to make a huge, beautiful piece or anything. It was just I was just so in my own head and lazy and tired and just depression hole that I was so out of it that I couldn't even put my art myself into my artwork. I wanted to create so badly, but I couldn't because I was just so tired all the time. So it felt nice to just finish the artwork, but it's gosh, I thought it would come out better because I took so much time on it, but yeah, I think that putting your emotions into your artwork is very visible and important. I really like coming to art shows and stuff like this because it's really cool to see all of you guys' artworks and see all the different emotions you have obviously put into the artwork. And I just want to say all you guys' art is so cool, and thank you for having me and allowing me to put my stuff in.
Thank you for that beautiful piece. I know that when I walk by the sun, it's just got those vibrant oranges and yellows, and I think we really need that. We really need that. Thank you. Anyone else at all?
Hi, I can share.
Thank you, Jenna.
Hi. So my piece, I've always struggled with my mental health and disabilities, and I often have a hard time understanding what's going on inside my brain and how to fully express my thoughts. So I made this representation of what that feels like, kind of like the static or fog where my head should be, and arms reaching up and sort of grasping for something to ground myself. And I've started incorporating more personal experiences and struggles into my art, which I have had trouble with in the past because I was afraid of it. But it's still scary, but I think it's definitely helped me to feel like I'm not alone in my experiences and that people are here to support me. So yeah.
I'm so glad that you submitted and that you kind of got over your fear of submitting.
Thank you.
I thought, thank you all the artists so far, the ones that have shared. I know that there are a lot of artists who submit. We had a big submission this year compared to last year. So there's not, unfortunately, an opportunity for every single artist to talk for those of you who want, but I am curious if there are any of the judges that are in attendance right now. If the last few minutes, I would be curious to hear from any of the judges what your thought was going through the judging process, because for those of you who don't know, when the judges go through to judge all the art based on the theme, the only information they have is the artwork itself that has been submitted and then the theme, but they don't have the artist statements. They don't have any of the background history of the art. So I'd be curious to hear from judges if after hearing some of the stories behind the art or the artists themselves, maybe what your thought process is now, or if you just had any kind of reactions to what you've heard now that you've gone through all the different pieces.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Sure, go ahead.
It would be extremely helpful to have artist statements, because that would be, I think, in exhibitions like this that are thematic, it would be really helpful just to have a little bit of insight, because just listening to those of you who are speaking, it really sheds a lot of light on the imagery and how you went about things. So, you know, that would be my say. And thanks for, you know, speaking about your work.
Thank you. Yeah, and Leanne and I did talk about it. We both always have said that if there were the artist statements included when the judging happens, I think that the judging results would be very different depending on the story behind the pieces that you're seeing. So maybe that is a change that we'll make to next year's process, but because that's something that has been done in the past. So we just kind of continued that process of judging, but maybe that's something we'll think about kind of changing next year, because I do feel like the story is very, very extremely important to the art. So, but I was just curious to hear from a judge the reflection behind it.
I do want to add that in almost every jury, like national, international jury show I've entered, it is just the work.
Really? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's totally blind. It's a blind jury, and you know, I think the work has to stand up to some extent on its own, but I think to view student work, it would help just to have some context. That's all. I don't want to, you know, talk about it too much.
Yeah.
I know Katie and I mentioned that when we first put up the art, it's an initial experience. And then when we put up the artist statements, it's like viewing the art with totally different eyes and looking at it all over again. So I love that experience of kind of seeing it twice almost.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing that. So just trying to be considerate of the time, I would like to now move on to the awards. So we can kind of see finally what the results of the judging ended up being. So I'll share my screen in a second. Okay. So, okay. All right, so now we're at the awards. Leanne, do you want to help me out with this?
I guess so, Katie.
Okay. All right, so we have a CAPS pick. This is the one that after the judging is completed, we let everyone who is an employee that works at CAPS, including interns, anyone who wants to participate, go around and make their own kind of pick of their favorite. So this was the one that got the most votes of everybody. So we have this artist, and Audra, if you're here, would you mind helping us pronounce your last name, please? I don't know if she's attending, but she submitted 3 pieces. I believe it's, I think it's acrylic. I don't have the details, but if you're looking at the virtual gallery, I think it'll tell you all the information. So this was Cap's pick. This was our staff's favorite piece, essentially. And then we have honorable mention, Sarah Ryan, and she submitted a poster. A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of the odds. And that was a quote by Christopher Reeve, who, if you don't know, he played the original Superman. So congratulations to Sarah's honorable mention. And then we have 3rd place. And the 3rd place winner, in collaboration with Sam Flax, they get a $25 gift card, but Alexander Hunter won Never Alone and All Together. I don't know if Alexander is here. Oh, excuse me, I apologize. I have my eye. Leanne, do you want to take over? I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, Katie. Katie, can you forward the slide with the?
Oh, yeah.
I'm
There you
so
go.
sorry. So as Katie said, third place earns a $25 gift card from Sam Flax. And I'm not sure if Alexander was here or not, but we'll go to second, Katie.
Okay. So this is second place winner, Ginger. I think I heard Ginger speak earlier, so congratulations, Ginger. She submitted 3 pieces. One is digital, which is this piece, and then these 2 are photographs, and I think she briefly talked about that earlier. So congratulations. You get a $50 Sam Flax gift card. We'll talk more about picking that up later, but Ginger, I don't know. I know you spoke already, but if you wanted to have a minute or 2 to speak about winning second place, feel free.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity and for allowing me to speak even. These pieces are very important to me. They were very difficult to create, very therapeutic, but also very difficult. It's definitely rewarding, and I hope that it creates an awareness of how difficult these mental illnesses, specifically eating disorders, are. They're so common and they're just not talked about enough. You're just kind of constantly battling with yourself mentally when going through it. And so the first image, like I said, was kind of the physical part that I put myself through. And the piece at the bottom, the horizontal one, was the mental hell, just the guilt and the struggle of what I went through. So, and then the digital piece, again, was like piecing myself back together. And yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you for sharing, and congrats on second place. And then last but not least, we have first place. This was based on the 4 judges. This was, I don't know the term for the way we scored it, but basically numbered whoever was closest to the top, first place, second place, third place, for each of the judges. That's how we chose the winners out of all the scoring. So first place, last but not least, congratulations again to Eli Dreyfus for the work that you submitted. The 2 photographs that you talked about earlier ended up winning, and you get a $100 Sam Flax gift card per our collaboration with Sam Flax for this event. So congrats again. So if you do want to have a little bit of time to talk about your pieces or anything else just based on the results, feel free to also share.
Sure. I mean, I'm a little bit speechless again, but no, thank you again for that opportunity. It really is an honor for the second time now to be able to share, my work, and that is my ultimate goal, with everything I really create, is to really make an impact on others, a positive impact. And again, bridge that connection gap, because I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who also struggle with that sense of connection. So I hope that through the pictures that I create and the artwork that I produce, to be able to bridge that connection gap and to have people dig deeper within themselves to see the light that's within and be able to share that with others, because the world is waiting. So, don't be afraid to dig in and share your light, share your message, because the world needs it.
Katie, Was this the first time in history that the same artist won 2 years in a row?
I can't be certain, but I think so. I don't know. I think only Meredith would know that. But it was a surprise. I mean, happy surprise for sure. Because I mean, all the artwork was great. I feel like it's really hard to judge something like this because, you know, when there's judging, when a judging process is occurring, it almost feels like judgmental, like in a bad way, even though that's not kind of what we're doing with the process. It just, so, because everyone's art is so beautiful and it's meaningful for everybody, obviously, just like you did. So it's hard to judge, I imagine, but I appreciate, you know, the judging, and I think everyone deserves to feel, what's the word I'm looking for? To feel proud of yourselves for submitting. So thank you so much. And so that kind of brings me to the judges, and I want to just have a little bit of space to thank all the judges that participated this year. So we have a community artist, Dr. Steve Bradbury, who happens to be my dad as well. And then we also have the SVAD professor of studio art, Mr. Kevin Herron, who did present a little bit earlier. Thank you for judging. And we have Dr. Andrea Guzman, who is the director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion on Campus office. And then Miss Meredith Malkin, who was the original founder of this outreach event back in 2013. She's a former clinician of ours at CAPS. Also, she was my former supervisor, which is pretty cool. And she's also a licensed mental health counselor. So appreciate all of the judging, taking time out to do that in the beginning of the year. And I also want to thank again our partners to be able to make an event like this happen. We couldn't do it without the School of Visual Arts and Design and Sam Flax. So really appreciate the support that you've had since the beginning. And I just want to leave it to Karen, maybe, if you have closing remarks.
Wow. Well, I just want to, again, thank everybody, all of the artists who put their heart and soul into what they do. I'm just always touched by the depth and awareness and emotionality of artists and what kind of inspires art. And I feel like the world is a better place because we have artists in the world, and they reflect the world back at us, and we learn about ourselves through that. So thank you. And thank you to everybody involved, Katie, Leanne, Hannah, you know, all of the people in kind of ASVAD who supports this and who supports artists every day. I really love this reception and this event that we have. So thank you for attending. Thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for spending this time with all of us. And congratulations to all of the artists. And we hope you have a good rest of the night and week.
Yes, thank you so much. If any of you have a couple minutes if you can scan this QR code, it's just a survey that we do after all of our events here at CAPS, just wanting to get feedback and knowing how we can improve, you know, the events that we have the following year. So it's just a brief survey. If you could fill it out when you get some time, that would be greatly appreciated. And then in the last, I guess, 5 minutes, if there were any final questions or comments that anybody had, definitely you can ask in the chat or just unmute yourself.
Katie, I'm just going to jump in and let everyone know that a lot of the artists probably got so many emails from me that they probably got tired of them, but there'll be another email that will go out giving you information about if you're an award winner, about getting your certificate, your gift certificate. Also to artists, we have some really nice gift bags. And so there'll be some information about how you might be able to pick those up and get those as well.
Yeah. So, did anyone have any last comments or questions? If not, that's okay, but I wanted to give the opportunity for that.
And please take the time to do the survey. It helps us to know how we can improve this, what we can do better. Your feedback really helps us and supports us being able to continue to do this.
I could just give one quick plug. We do have our MFA show opening next Thursday at the UCF Art Gallery. So if anyone wants to come see some more art, we'd welcome you for a visit.
Yes.
Yeah, and hopefully next year we'll be able to have this in person again. So, or a mix of virtual and in person. So. Well, if there isn't anything left for today, we can definitely end here. And I really appreciate everyone who was able to show up and take the time to listen to all the artists and look at the art. Feel free to share the link of the virtual gallery to anyone who might be interested. That would be available for everybody to look at throughout the year. So that's definitely something that everyone can access. And then this reception is also recorded, and so you can view it online. If anyone missed it, or if there are family or friends who wants to see it, they can see it online.
And Katie, in the chat, some people are having some problems with the survey, accessing it. So we'll try and see what we can do about that for sure. I know Hannah had everyone registered for this event, so hopefully we can try to get it out to everybody. If people are getting into it, can they let us know if you're able to access the survey?
I'm on the survey right now. It's working for me. I clicked it immediately when you put it out, so maybe that's why. But
perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. And it might be that you didn't see that the password was right below, and that is emerging. 20.
Yeah. So Ryan says submitting gives you the error.
Yeah, you're able to fill out the form fine and go through both pages, but then once you go to submit, it says, sorry, the survey is not active.
Oh, weird. Okay.
You can send it in another email. We won't mind.
Definitely. Okay. I can do that for sure.
Okay, so maybe then we'll have to send it out in an email to everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But we'll send an email. And when you do get a chance, just please fill out the survey. Right? Is there anything else? That's our only option, I think, at this point.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Just people who came, attendees that maybe weren't, providing art, but you just came to support artists and support CAPS and support SVAD. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you. We'll send out an email with the active working survey. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.